PHARRCAST episode 23.
Infrastructure, water, and drainage, some of the bigger topics happening now in the great city of Pharr. And so joining us this morning is our Public Utilities Director, Ruben Rosales, and our amazing Commissioner, el tío de todos, Commissioner Bobby Carrillo. Welcome to the PHARRCAST.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here today. And for everything, wish everybody Happy New Year. And hopefully it'll be a fantastic year this year because we do have a lot of good things coming on.
You know, my staff says that you look like everyone's Theo, like you look like someone's uncle. Do you agree?
Well, I've got plenty of nieces and nephews to back that up, so I guess so.
2025, what type of projects do we have underway when it comes to drainage, whether they're underway or current?
There's a lot of projects coming up in 2025. I know that the commission has been really instrumental on helping us try to get to that point. A lot of the stuff, we're having a lot of problems with flooding in certain areas. I know Sugar Road, I know the downtown area. So we got projects coming up that's going to alleviate a lot of that stuff. And I'm going to let Commish talk about it because I know he's really the one that's been pushing on this.
Okay, we've always had a lot of drainage problems off of Sugar Road. I mean, it's been a major problem, and I've been on the commission for several years now, and it's always been an issue. They tried to repair that about 20 years ago, and I think it just became a bigger problem. What we want to do on the drainage is to alleviate some of the lower lying areas, and we'll probably have to do additional detention ponds so where we can move the water into there, store it there, so it's not being stored on the streets. So people can understand, well, why do we flood? Why do we flood? Well, whole deal is our growth causes flooding. So we have to set up the infrastructure. Infrastructure. Why does the city spend money on infrastructure? Because it's not pretty. Nobody likes to see $20 million spent because nobody sees it. But it's the most important part of any type of growth. And I hope people understand that because parks are beautiful and it takes a lot to maintain a park. Nobody likes drainage. Nobody likes sewer lines. Nobody likes water lines because you can't see it and it's not pretty. But it's the most important thing when you build a home. You really never see the foundation of your home. But if you don't have a firm foundation, your home's going to start to crack. You're going to have all kinds of problems later on. So what we're trying to do, and thank God we have a great utilities director who understands it and knows what our goals are, and he's out there reaching out and doing everything that needs to be done. As far as what projects do we have coming on, it's going to be downtown, Sugar Road, to reevaluate it and start working on this. And we're talking about not working on it in 5 years. Our goal is to start working on this within the next 18 months.
Right. So that was my next question. 2025, these are, these are important projects, but big projects, and these take time. What's a timeline looking like for that specific one that you just mentioned?
Well, those we're probably looking at about 18 months before we start. Obviously, we got to do the engineering, and then we start on the actual getting the shovels into the ground. We've also had some drainage problems in South Pharr, but I'll go ahead and let Ruben elaborate on that.
So solutions underway.
Yes.
Historically, Commissioner and Ruben, correct me if I'm wrong, historically, South Pharr has been one of those areas that get flooded the most in comparison to Central and North? Or is it very similar?
Areas. It's certain areas.
Certain areas in South Pharr.
Yeah, a lot has to do with the water tables in different areas, and that's what kind of keeps it. And yes, like Commissioner was saying, a lot of times what happens here is that we have a lot of infrastructure, but this is aging infrastructure. This is infrastructure that's been there for over 20 years. So guess what? As the city grows, we got to grow with it. So it's true, and I'm very grateful for him to explain that and to our residents so that they can understand. Yes, it's hard. It's hard when we spend a lot of money on a lot of these different projects that we say, what's going on here? We're not seeing anything. It's all underground, right? But it's all the things that need to be in place for us to be able to continue to grow, right? For residents, for commercial businesses, and all these things. The one in the South Pharr area, that detention pond that we're talking about, that's already in the works. That's in the construction phases right now. We're working on that parts of it too. So it's coming soon. It's not coming soon. It's in the process right now. So it's something that we're really looking forward to, and especially for our south area. Yes, there is a growing concern for us there. So that was one of the things that the commission, they said we wanted to act fast, and that was one of the ones that they pushed for.
So how does a detention pond or can you just kind of elaborate or be more specific on how the dynamics work on the water getting to that detention pond when we have heavy rainfall?
So there's lines and everything that gets in place, and these divert this flow from these drainage areas into that one area, and that area then holds it for an X amount of time while it's still being drained onto to the further next access point that it's required. So we're talking about over 1 million gallons of actual water that can be held in there. So it's a lot of water that can be held. But then, like we said, we're also going to utilize it for different things. This is what is our main concern is the flooding area. Now, again, it doesn't rain all the time. You know, this year hasn't been that big of a rainy season for us, and we know it. We've seen it in different things that have been happening.
And we're going to get into that too.
Yes, exactly. But when it does, those areas are the ones that flood the first.
Right.
And so we're going to alleviate those types of things and getting it in, holding it in those areas that can detention for an X amount of time and then get rid of it.
Will this detention pond also alleviate water that's in some of those ditches and canals in that area?
It'll alleviate some of that flow from flooding up.
Okay.
So a lot of times what happens is that those areas get flooded up and then it stops. There's no, if it's, the laws of gravity, if you can't push out, it won't go through. So when they're able to hold it off, and as those areas start to go down, then we'll be able to divert the flow to that area.
And I'm asking all these questions because we get them through social media. We get them, all the time. So I'm just trying to remember some of those frequently asked questions. However, as a public utilities director, what are some of the frequently asked questions that you get, and then how do you address them?
So one of the biggest questions I get the most is, why is my bill so high? That's one of the
water bill. Why is my water bill so high?
Why is my water bill so high? Yeah, and a lot of the times what happens on these high bills, it's small water leaks that happen within the homes. It can be a leaky toilet. We've all had that happen before. People don't know or understand the amount of actual gallons that are being run through that time. So again, those are the things that we have. Those are the biggest questions that we have. We send staff out there. If it's, for whatever reason, something that happens on our side, well, we address it. But most of the times it's on the customer side. However, it's hard to explain when they say that's not true. There's nothing wrong. My meter's this. So we have to kind of educate them to understand it. But one of the things that we're working on, and again, this is another project that we got up and coming. We're looking at trying to, put in some smart meters. So these smart meters are one of the goals that I've been reaching at, and we're still working on it. It's a process, but we want to put these smart meters in around all of our city. This is a program's. It's so great because it gives us the opportunity to be transparent with our residents.
When are these smart meters going to be implemented? And what phase will?
Hopefully, we'll be doing it within the next 6 months. Okay. I mean, obviously, it's a process.
Right.
You got to get it set up and all, and it's something that we've been looking at for a long time. And like Ruben says, it's something that the people know exactly what they're being used. And most of all, it's if you have a leak, you'll find out immediately because all of a sudden it spikes. That at any time anybody can come and say, well, how much water am I using?
Right.
It'll give you to the gallon, to the half gallon.
So it's solutions, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
With a growing city, you want to be more innovative. Yes. So these are just innovative features that we're incorporating into the Public Utilities Department. My mom wants to know if she will have to pay for this meter.
Well,
how will that work?
No, the meters will not be charged to the people.
Okay.
Obviously, whenever you come and build a new home, you get a new meter. Well, then the cost will start being incurred there. But for the residents that are here now, the meter is not going to cost you anything.
Okay, perfect. Let's go back to something you just mentioned that has been a very hot topic at federal level and state level, and it's water conservation. We haven't seen too much rain. Obviously, there's a big question on what are we doing as a city, to get involved with the whole water conservation issue. I know we had a very successful water symposium last year. Can you elaborate on that?
So yes, we did have a very, very successful water symposium that we did. And again, that was just like as mentioned before, it's not a topic that only here in the Valley, we're talking about statewide. We're all feeling it. And I think a big part of it, what we're trying to organize, and we have now successfully been able to, is have a united front between all of our municipalities. And then we try to, get together and collaborate. We had this water symposium, we had municipalities from Laredo, Eagle Pass. We had some from Zapata. We had all over here in the valley alone, but all these other ones. And a big part of it was the question was, what is the valley doing to do things differently?
What are some of those questions that happened during the water symposium to those viewers now for this podcast, and how are they addressed?
So one of the questions was, what are we doing to get water into the Rio Grande? So we all share the Rio Grande River, and of course, we're also neighboring to Mexico. Mexico has a treaty of the water in which they have to release to the United States, and they weren't abiding by it. They have now recently, they did release some water. They haven't released it all, but they released some of it. And I think that was the questions. A lot of it was, different partners. And it's not just the municipal side. We're talking about the agricultural side, too. We've seen the effects that it's had. One of the biggest industrial plants that we had, the sugar mill, closed down. And you know the reasons that they closed down? They didn't have the water that they needed.
Oh, we've seen that throughout the entire region, with crops, with citrus. We've seen those disappear as well.
If we're not on the same page, the solution, I don't think there'll be a solution for it. But right now, everybody seems to be working together because we know it is a serious problem. We know without water, there's no life. Sin agua no hay vida. And it's that simple. Yeah, it's here at Pharr. We're the ones that we're starting it, and we're not going to let go on it because it's so vital to the region.
Yeah, and I think having the conversation is already a big step, versus ignoring it and just having someone else take the lead. Mm-hmm. You've decided to take the lead, and it's tough because there is a lot of questions regarding this conversation. Anyhow, man, we can be here for hours, but we've touched on good points here. Water meters being implemented, which is going to be a major solution in understanding why our water bills are
Yes.
Just to kind of understand what we're paying. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Infrastructure for drainage underway and current, correct? We're looking at a time lapse on 18 months. If there is
and some already in the process.
Yeah. And some already in the process. Okay. Ruben, if there's questions regarding these projects and where they stand, who can they contact?
They can contact me, or they can email me at ruben.rosales@pharr-tx.gov. And you can call our number. The number there to the office is 956-402-4300.
Any final comments?
Just let the people know that we're working hard and diligently for you, and we're going to keep on. We've got goals that we haven't met, and I've been here a long time, and my vision has always been huge, probably bigger than what my time here will be. But I want to make sure that the vision that I'm leaving behind is something that people are going to say, you know what, we can reach those goals.
There you go. You heard it from Theo, Commissioner Bobby Carrillo. Any final words with you, Ruben?
No, we just, I'm very thankful. And I want our residents to know that we're working diligently for them, and I know it's not seen, but it's being done. It's underground, guys. I'm sorry. But we're working hard, and we're going to continue to work. And again, with the help of our commission that understands it, I think that's the most important. Finding a commission, finding a mayor that understands, that has that same vision, understands the infrastructure, the importance of it. We're going to continue to grow. So I'm really grateful to all of them.
Thank you so much. This summarizes some information regarding our Public Utilities Department and your vision for 2025 with all these amazing projects. Commissioner Bobby Carrillo once again. So just say bye to the camera, and we'll see you next time. This has been the PHARRCAST podcast for the City of Pharr. Thank you.